Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Ivan Jue. I teach international business at Cerritos College. Chapter 15 dives into leadership and employee behaviors in international business. As companies become global, managers face challenges that do not exist in purely domestic organizations. So, why does this chapter matter? People from different countries often have different views about leadership, authority, teamwork, motivation, communication, and rewards. A management style that works well in one country may fail in another. As a quick example, a U.S. manager may encourage individual initiative, direct communication, independent decision making. However, employees in Japan may prefer group consensus, team harmony, more indirect communication. Therefore, international managers must adapt their leadership style. So with that, let's begin. So here are the learning objectives for this chapter. 15.1 Individual differences across cultures. What you'll learn. People from different countries often have different values, attitudes, and workplace expectations. The topics include individualism versus collectivism, attitudes towards authority, risk tolerance, communication styles, work-life balance expectations. As an example, the United States has a value for individual achievement. Employees often seek personal recognition. In Japan, group harmony and teamwork are emphasized. Decisions often involve consensus. So the key question here is, how do cultural differences influence employee behavior? 15.2 Employee motivation in international business. So what you'll learn is that people are motivated differently around the world. The common motivators are money, job security, career advancement, recognition, and work-life balance. Again, in an example, in the United States, performance bonuses may be highly motivating. In Japan, long-term employment and team success may be more motivating. So the key question here is, what motivates employees in different cultures? 15.3 Managerial leadership in international business. What you'll learn is that leadership styles vary across countries and cultures. For U.S. leadership, the tendency is for it to be direct, results-oriented, with individual responsibility. Under Japanese leadership, there's more consensus-based, team-oriented, relationship-focused. And a key question is, what leadership style works best in different cultural settings? 15.4 Managerial decision making. What you'll learn is that managers around the world make decisions differently. In the United States, managers often make decisions quickly, value efficiency. In Japan, managers often seek broad agreement first, spend more time building consensus. So key question would be, how do cultural values influence business decisions? For 15.5, group dynamics and cross-cultural teams. And with that, what you'll learn is that global companies increasingly use international teams. Challenges are language differences, different communication styles, different expectations about leadership. So a quick example is that a project team may include employees from the United States, Japan, Germany, and Singapore. The manager must help the team communicate effectively, resolve conflicts, and work towards common goals. And so the key question for this would be, how can managers build effective multicultural teams? So this introduces the first topic in Chapter 15, individual behavior in international business. The main idea is People from different cultures think, communicate, work, and make decisions differently. Managers in international business must understand these differences to lead effectively. The chapter breaks this topic into two parts. Number one, individual differences are the unique characteristics that make people different from one another. These include personality, introvert versus extrovert, risk-taking versus being cautious. For values, what people would consider as important. So as an example, Americans may value independence, but Japanese employees may value group harmony. Attitudes. Opinions about work, authority, teamwork, and change. Perceptions. How people interpret situations. The same behavior may be viewed differently in different cultures. Abilities and skills. Education, experience, technical expertise, and language proficiency. An employee from Germany may prefer detailed planning, value punctuality. An employee from Brazil may place greater emphasis on relationships and flexibility. Neither approach is right or wrong, they're just simply different. Number two, individual behavior. Individual behavior refers to how people actually act in the workplace. Examples include motivation, why employees work hard, communication, how employees share information, decision making, how employees analyze problems and choose solutions, teamwork, how employees interact with coworkers, leadership response, how employees react to managers. So here's an international business example. So imagine a group global project team at a software company. The US team member speaks directly, likes quick decisions, has comfort in challenging ideas, while the Japanese team member has more indirect communication, prefers consensus, and avoids public disagreement, while the German team member focuses on precision and planning. The Singapore team member may place greater emphasis on hierarchy and respect for authority. A manager who understands these differences can avoid misunderstandings and improve team performance. So why does this all matter? Many international business problems are not caused by strategy or technology. They are actually caused by cultural misunderstandings, different expectations, different communication styles, and different work behaviors. Understanding individual differences helps managers predict behavior, while understanding individual behavior helps managers lead employees effectively across cultures. This is introducing the debate about why personality differs across cultures. Number one, biologically inherited. The nature perspective argues that personality traits are partially inherited through genetics. People may be born with tendencies such as extroversion versus introversion, emotional stability versus anxiety, risk-taking versus cautiousness. Cultural differences in personality could therefore be influenced by genetic differences among populations. For example, some researchers suggest that certain personality traits may be more common in particular regions due to historical genetic selection. Number two, personality attributes. Are personality differences caused more by biology or by environment? Most modern psychologists believe personality results from both. So personality equals genetics plus environment. Nature provides a person's predispositions, while nurture shapes how those traits develop and are expressed. Number three, nurtured. The nurture perspective argues that personality is learned through culture, family, education, and social experiences. The factors include parenting styles, school systems, religious beliefs, social norms, and economic conditions. As an example, in many East Asian cultures, children are encouraged to value harmony, cooperation, and group goals. In many Western cultures, children are encouraged to be independent, assertive, and self-reliant. These cultural influences can lead to different personality patterns across societies. This explains the Big Five personality traits, one of the most widely accepted models for describing human personality. Each trait exists on a spectrum from high to low. Number 1, agreeableness. A definition: ability to get along with others. As an example, on the high spectrum, this would be a team player willing to help coworkers. On the low part of the spectrum, an employee with more competitive, skeptical, or confrontational aspects. Number 2, conscientiousness. Definition: a drive to impose order, organization, and precision. As an example, on the higher end of the spectrum, a person that meets deadlines, keeps detailed schedules. On the low part of the spectrum, someone that often procrastinates and misses details. For the work impact, this is often the strongest predictor of job performance. Number 3, emotional stability. The definition here is the ability to maintain a balanced emotional state. On the high end of the spectrum, someone that stays calm during a crisis. For someone that's on the low end of the spectrum, someone that becomes anxious or upset under pressure. The work impact here is that this has high emotional stability that helps with stress management and leadership. Number 4, extroversion. The definition here is the comfort level with relationships and social interaction. On the higher end of the spectrum, enjoys networking and public speaking. On the lower end of the spectrum, prefers working independently and smaller groups. What's important to acknowledge is that introversion is not a weakness. It simply reflects a different source of energy. Number 5, openness to experience. The definition here is the willingness to consider new ideas and experiences. On the high end of the spectrum, excitement about innovation and new technologies. On the low end of the spectrum, prefers proven approaches and established procedures. So why does this matter in cross-cultural management? Different cultures tend to emphasize different personality traits. In the United States, there's often value with extroversion and openness. In Japan, there's often value with conscientiousness and cooperation. In Nordic countries, there's often emphasis on emotional stability and teamwork. However, individuals within a culture can vary greatly. So the easiest thing to remember is the acronym OCEAN. And this is what the Big Five is often remembered by. O stands for openness. C stands for conscientiousness. E stands for extroversion. A for agreeableness. And N for neuroticism. So an example profile of a successful manager would be someone that has high conscientiousness, high emotional stability, moderate to high agreeableness, moderate extroversion, high openness. This combination is often associated with effective leadership, teamwork, adaptability, and strong job performance. So this highlights 4 additional personality traits that influence behavior and performance at work beyond the Big Five traits. Number 1, the locus of control. Definition: a person's belief about what controls the outcomes in their life. the internal locus of control, believes my success depends mainly on my own efforts. The characteristics are takes responsibility, is proactive, is self-motivated, and focuses on solutions. As an example, a salesperson misses quota and thinks, I need to improve my sales strategy. The external locus of control believes my success depends mostly on luck, fate, or other people. The characteristics of this would be the tendency to blame external factors, feels less control, becomes more reactive. An example of this is a salesperson that misses quota and thinks the market was bad this quarter. So here's the work impact. Employees with a stronger internal locus of control often perform better because they believe they can influence outcomes. Number 2, self-efficacy. The definition here is that a person's belief in their ability to successfully perform a specific task. In simple terms, the question is, can I do this? High self-efficacy is confident, accepts challenges, persists through setbacks. Under low self-efficacy, they tend to doubt abilities, avoid difficult tasks, and gives up more easily. So as an example, 2 employees receive a difficult tax project. Under high self-efficacy, that person may say, this is challenging, but I can figure it out. For someone with low self-efficacy, they would say, I'm not qualified to do this. The work impact is higher self-efficacy usually leads to better performance and learning. Number 3, authoritarianism. The definition here is the degree to which a person believes authority should be respected and obeyed. High authoritarianism. Values hierarchy, prefers clear rules, respects authority figures, comfortable with top-down decisions. Low authoritarianism. This person questions authority, prefers participation, and values equality and empowerment. As an example, someone with high efficacy would be a manager that says, the manager made the decision, so we should follow it. Someone with low self-efficacy is, let's discuss whether this is the best approach. The work impact is that can this affect leadership style, teamwork, and willingness to challenge existing processes? 4, self-esteem. The definition is a person's overall sense of self-worth and value. So in simple terms, this person may ask, how do I feel about myself? Under high self-esteem, that person is confident, has positive self-image, and is more willing to take initiative. For low self-esteem, this person has self-doubt, sensitive to criticism, and may avoid risks. So as an example, after receiving constructive feedback, someone with high self-esteem may say, I will use this feedback to improve. With someone that has low self-esteem, that person may view it as a personal failure. So the work impact here is that self-esteem influences confidence, leadership potential, and resilience. So here's an example of a high-performing employee. A successful employee often has internal locus of control in which they feel I can influence results. Someone that has high self-efficacy, and so this person would say, I can handle this challenge. Someone that has healthy self-esteem, and so they feel I am capable and valuable. And someone that has balanced authoritarianism, in which they respect authority, but can also think independently. These traits often contribute to stronger performance, leadership, and career growth. So this discusses job-related attitudes across cultures, focusing on two important workplace attitudes. Job satisfaction. Organizational commitment. These attitudes influence employee performance, retention, and engagement, and can vary across different cultures. So, what is job satisfaction? The definition is how positively or negatively an employee feels about their job. It reflects whether employees enjoy their work and feel their needs are being met. Here are the factors affecting job satisfaction: pay and benefits, relationship with supervisors, work-life balance, career advancement opportunities, job security, and nature of the work itself. So, as an example, an employee who enjoys their work, receives fair compensation, and feels valued is likely to have high job satisfaction. An employee who feels overworked and underappreciated is likely to have low job satisfaction. Cultural differences. What creates job satisfaction differs by culture. Individualistic cultures, such as the United States and Canada. Personal achievement, autonomy, career growth, and recognition. Collectivist cultures, such as China, Japan, and South Korea. Emphasis is team harmony, group success, stable relationships, and job security. Number 2, organizational commitment. The definition of this is the degree to which an employee identifies with and is loyal to the organization. It reflects the employee's desire to remain with the company. Here are the signs of high commitment: loyalty to the organization, willingness to go beyond job requirements, lower turnover intentions, strong identification with company goals. As an example, a highly committed employee might stay with a company during difficult times, volunteer for additional responsibilities, and recommend the company to others. Under cultural differences, in some cultures, employees tend to develop stronger long-term loyalty to employers. In Japan, historically, there's been emphasis on lifetime employment, along with strong organizational loyalty. In the United States, the commitment often depends more on career opportunities and personal goals. The employee may switch employers more frequently. Here's the relationship between the two. Although related, they are not the same. As an example, an employee may enjoy their work with high job satisfaction, but plan to leave for a better opportunity due to low organizational commitment. Or they may feel loyal to the company with high commitment, but then be temporarily frustrated with their current role or lower satisfaction. So this explains how people from different cultures perceive the world differently, which is especially important in international business. The perception is the process by which people receive information, interpret that information, form judgments and conclusions. So in simple terms, people don't always see reality the same way. They see it through their own experiences and cultural lens. The perceptual process refers to how we interpret people, events, and situations. So as an example, imagine an employee remains silent during a meeting. An employee manager may think she is disengaged or lacks confidence. A Japanese manager may think she is being respectful and listening carefully. Same behavior, different perception. This is why misunderstandings often occur in international business. Stereotyping. A stereotype is a generalized belief about a group of people. Here are some examples. Germans are very punctual. Americans are individualistic. Japanese employees are loyal. However, there are problems with stereotyping. While stereotypes may contain some cultural tendencies, they can lead to incorrect assumptions, bias, poor management decisions, communication problems. As a business example, a manager assumes all employees from country X prefer teamwork. In reality, individual employees may be very different from the stereotype. So the lesson here is use cultural knowledge as a guide, not a rigid rule. Cultural background. A person's culture strongly influences how they perceive time, authority, risk, communication, relationships, and success. As an example, direct versus indirect communication. In the United States, direct communication is often valued. Saying, "I disagree" is acceptable. In Japan, indirect communication is often preferred. Open disagreement may be viewed as impolite. An American manager may perceive indirect communication as unclear. A Japanese employee may perceive direct communication as too aggressive. Neither is wrong, they just reflect different cultural backgrounds. So, why does this matter in international business? Managers working globally need to understand cultural differences, avoid stereotypes, recognize their own biases, seek clarification before making judgments. This discusses stress in an international and cross-cultural work environment and highlights that stress is not always bad. Number 1, stress. Optimal versus too much stress. So let's be clear. Not all stress is harmful. Optimal stress, or what is called good stress, is also called eustress. A moderate amount of stress can increase motivation, improve focus, enhance performance, encourage learning and growth. As an example, you have an important presentation tomorrow. The pressure motivates you to prepare thoroughly and perform well. Too much stress or bad stress. Excessive stress can reduce productivity, cause burnout, lead to anxiety, increase mistakes, and harm physical and mental health. As an example, working 80-hour weeks for months while handling multiple urgent deadlines may lead to exhaustion and poor performance. Number 2, good versus bad causes of stress. Good causes or challenge stressors. These stressors can help people grow. Promotion opportunities, new responsibilities, international assignments, learning new skills, leading important projects. As an example, being selected to lead a global tax project may be stressful but beneficial for career development. Bad causes or hindrance stressors. These stressors create obstacles. These include unclear expectations, office politics, job insecurity, excessive workload, and poor management. As an example, receiving conflicting instructions from multiple managers creates frustration without helping performance. Number 3, 2 different perspectives on stress. The slide emphasizes 2 important international business perspectives. A, international assignments. Employees working abroad often experience unique stressors. Sources of expatriate stress, language barriers, different business practices, relocation challenges, family adjustment, new social environment, and culture shock. As an example, an American manager transferred to Japan may face stress from different communication styles, consensus-based decision making, longer work hours, different social expectations. Even highly successful employees can struggle with international assignments if they cannot adapt. B. Differences across cultures. Different cultures view stress differently. The first example, work hours. In some cultures, long work hours may be viewed as commitment and dedication. In others, long work hours may be viewed as poor work-life balance. The second example is uncertainty. Some cultures are comfortable with ambiguity. Others prefer detailed plans, clear rules, and predictability. People from high uncertainty avoidance cultures may experience more stress when facing unclear situations. The third example, individualism versus collectivism. Individualistic cultures, such as the United States and Canada, stress often becomes from personal achievement and performance. Collectivist cultures like Japan, China, and Korea, stress may come from maintaining group harmony and meeting team expectations. International business example. So, at a global company like Micron Technologies, a tax project involving the United States, Taiwan, Japan, Netherlands, and Singapore may create stress due to different time zones, different communication styles, different expectations regarding deadlines, different attitudes towards authority. So, understanding cultural differences helps managers reduce unnecessary stress and improve collaboration. So this explains that motivation varies across cultures because people have different needs and values. The key idea is that people are motivated by what they need and what they value, and both can differ from one culture to another. Number one, needs. Needs are things people desire or require. The slide divides needs into primary and secondary needs. So the primary needs are the basic human needs that everyone has. So examples are food, water, shelter, safety, and health. These needs are generally universal across cultures. Here's a workplace example. So employees everywhere want fair compensation, safe working conditions, and job security. The secondary needs, these are psychological and social needs. So examples include achievement, recognition, status, belonging, independence, and personal growth. These needs vary more across cultures. So as an example for the United States, there's emphasis on achievement, individual success, and independence. While in Japan, there's more about group harmony, team success, and loyalty. In China, this is about relationships, or guangxi, family reputation, social status. Thus, employees in different countries may be motivated by different rewards. Number two, values. The slide states that values are learned and developed. Unlike primary needs, values are not inherited at birth. Values are shaped by family, education, religion, and society, as well as cultural experiences. So what are values? Values are beliefs about what is important, desirable, and appropriate. Examples include honesty, respect, equality, achievement, tradition, and innovation. The cultural differences in values of individualistic cultures, such as the United States, Canada, and Australia. This is where the values on independence, personal achievement, individual rights, motivators or bonuses, promotions, and individual recognition. Collectivist cultures, such as China, Japan, and South Korea, there's often value in group harmony, loyalty, cooperation, motivators, team rewards, stable employment, and group recognition. So why does this all matter in international business? Managers cannot assume that the same motivational tools work everywhere. As an example, a U.S. manager may motivate employees with Employee of the Month Award. This, however, may work well in an individualistic culture, but in some collectivist cultures, public individual recognition may create discomfort because employees prefer group recognition. So here's a real-world example. Suppose Micron Technologies has teams in the United States, Taiwan, Japan, Singapore, and the Netherlands. A simple reward system may not motivate everyone equally. Some employees may value bonuses, promotions, flexibility, and scheduling. Others may value team success, job stability, work-life balance. And so effective international managers understand these cultural differences and adapt their motivational approaches accordingly. This introduces the major theories that explain how motivation works across cultures. It focuses on 3 modern approaches to understanding what drives employee behavior. Number 1, need-based models. And here's the core idea. People are motivated by unmet needs. If a person needs something, they will be motivated to obtain it. Here are some common theories. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or the ERG theory. ERG standing for existence, relatedness, and growth. McClellan's needs theory. Examples are employee A wants financial security and is motivated by salary and benefits, while employee B wants recognition and motivated by promotions and awards. Cultural impact. Different cultures emphasize different needs. In the United States, that would be achievement, personal growth, and independence. In Japan, it's group belonging, harmony, job security, and so the same reward may motivate employees differently across countries. Number 2, process-based models. The core idea here is that motivation depends on how people think and make decisions. Instead of asking, what do people need? Process theories ask, how do people decide whether effort is worth it? As an example, expectancy theory. Employees ask 3 questions. Number 1, if I work hard, can I perform well? Number 2, if I perform well, will I be rewarded? And number 3 would be, do I value the reward? If the answer is yes to all 3, motivation is high. As an example, an employee may think, if I work extra hours, I finish the project. Or if I finish the project, I will get promoted. And then I really want that promotion, so the result is high motivation. The cultural impact. So different cultures value rewards differently. Some employees value individual bonuses, promotions, while others value team recognition, stability, and work-life balance. Number 3, reinforcement model. The core idea here is that behavior is shaped by its consequences. People repeat behaviors that are rewarded and avoid behaviors that are punished. The positive reinforcement is rewarding desired behavior. So examples would be bonus, promotion, praise, recognition, and the result would be behavior increases. The negative reinforcement. This is about removing an unpleasant condition when desired behavior occurs. So as an example, employees who meet targets no longer need weekly progress reports. The result is that behavior increases. Punishment. This is about applying negative consequences to reduce unwanted behavior. Examples would be a formal warning, a loss of privileges, and so the result is behavior decreases. Cultural impact. Different cultures respond differently to reinforcement. For example, in the United States, public recognition may be motivating. In Japan, individual public praise may be uncomfortable. And so the team has to recognize that the team recognition may work better. International business example. So suppose Micron Technologies wants to motivate employees globally. The need-based approach. In the United States, career advancement opportunities. In Japan, long-term employment and team stability. The process-based approach. Ensure employees believe strong performance leads to rewards. The reinforcement approach is where the reward desired behaviors consistently. So that means adjusting recognition methods to fit local cultures. This slide introduces 4 major need-based motivation theories that help explain what motivates people at work, especially across different cultures. The key assumption of all these theories is people are motivated by needs they want to satisfy. Number 1, Gert Hofstede's Dimensions of National Culture. Hofstede studied how national culture affects workplace behavior and motivation. As an example, in the United States, people are more individualistic. Employees may be motivated by personal achievement and rewards. In Japan, more collectivist and long-term oriented feelings allow employees to be motivated by team success and job stability. The managerial lesson is that different cultures require different motivational approaches. Number 2, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow proposed that people satisfy needs in a hierarchy. He illustrates the 5 levels of needs, which are physiological needs, like food, water, and salary to support living expenses. Safety needs, which includes job security, health insurance. Social needs, friendships, and team belonging. Esteem needs, such as recognition and promotions. Self-actualization needs, such as personal growth and meaningful work. Cultural differences. Not all cultures prioritize these needs equally. In the United States, esteem and self-actualization often are emphasized. In Asian cultures, social belonging and group harmony may receive greater emphasis. Number 3, David McClelland's Learned Needs Framework. McClelland argued that 3 important needs are learned over time. A, need for achievement. People want success, accomplishment, and challenging goals. As an example, a sales manager motivated by exceeding targets. B, need for affiliation. People want relationships, friendship, acceptance. As an example, an employee who enjoys teamwork and collaboration. C, need for power. People want influence, authority, leadership. As an example, a manager who enjoys directing projects and making decisions. Cultural differences. Individualistic cultures often reward achievement. Collectivist cultures often place greater importance on affiliation and group relationships. Number 4, Frederick Herzberg's two-factor theory. Herzberg found that job satisfaction and dissatisfaction are influenced by different factors. Hygiene factors. This prevents dissatisfaction but do not create motivation. So examples are salary, benefits, work conditions, company policies, and job security. And if absent, employees become dissatisfied. If they're present, employees are simply not unhappy. Motivators. This creates genuine satisfaction and motivation. Examples include achievement, recognition, responsibility, advancement, and meaningful work. If it's present, employees become highly motivated. As an example, an employee may receive good pay, nice office, excellent benefits, but yet they still feel unmotivated if the work itself is boring. International business application. So for a global company like Micron, U.S. employees may be motivated by achievement, recognition, career advancement. Japanese employees may be motivated by team success, long-term stability, group harmony. Employees in the Netherlands may value work-life balance, employee involvement, and equality. A manager who understands these theories can design rewards, recognition programs, and leadership styles that better fit employees from different cultures. Cultural dimensions and groups them into 4 major orientations that affect employee motivation and management across cultures. Number 1, social orientation. Individualism versus collectivism. This dimension answers, do people see themselves primarily as individuals or as part of a group? Individualistic cultures. Examples: United States, Canada, Australia. The characteristics are personal achievement, independence, individual rewards, and personal responsibility. Management implications. Employees are often motivated by promotions, bonuses, and individual recognition. Collectivist cultures. Examples are China, Japan, South Korea, and the characteristics are group harmony, team success, loyalty, and cooperation. Management implications. Employees are often motivated by team rewards, group recognition, and long-term relationships. Number 2, power orientation. The power distance. This dimension answers, how comfortable are people with unequal distributions of power? The high power distance. So examples are China, India, Malaysia, and so the characteristics are respect for authority, clear hierarchy, top-down decision-making. The employee expectations are managers make decisions, employees follow directions. Low power distance. Examples: Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden. Characteristics are equality, employee participation, and open communication. So the employee expectations are the managers seek input, employees challenge ideas respectfully. Number 3, uncertainty avoidance. This dimension answers, how comfortable are people with ambiguity and risk? So the high uncertainty avoidance would have these examples. It's found in Japan, Germany, and so the characteristics are they prefer a structure, there's detailed planning, and there's clear procedures. Motivators are job security, defined expectations, and predictability. The low uncertainty avoidance. Examples include Singapore, United States, and the characteristics are more comfortable with change, greater willingness to experiment, and flexible rules. Motivators are innovation, entrepreneurship, and new opportunities. Number 4, goal orientation. Masculinity versus femininity. This dimension answers what defines success. Masculine cultures. Examples are Japan, United States. And the value here is achievement, competition, success, and performance. The motivators are promotions, bonuses, and recognition. Feminine cultures. Examples are the Netherlands, Sweden. And the value here is quality of life, cooperation, work-life balance, and relationships. The motivators are flexible schedules, employee well-being, and team harmony. So this focuses on Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of the most famous motivation theories. Maslow argued that people are motivated by different needs, and they generally try to satisfy lower level needs before higher level needs become important. So the slide lists the needs from highest to lowest, starting with physiological, then to security, then to social, and then self-esteem, and then finally self-actualization. Number 1, physiological needs, or basic survival. These are the most fundamental human needs. Examples are water, food, shelter, rest, and basic income. As a workplace example, employees need a paycheck sufficient enough to live on, reasonable enough working conditions. If these needs are not met, employees focus primarily on survival rather than performance. Number 2, security needs, or safety. Once basic survival needs are met, people seek safety and stability. Examples are job security, health insurance, safe workplace, stable income, and retirement benefits. As a workplace example, an employee worried about layoffs may be less motivated by promotions or recognition because job security is their primary concern. Number 3, social needs, or belonging. People want connection and acceptance. Examples are friendships, teamwork, relationships, sense of belonging. Here's a workplace example. So employees often want positive coworkers, supportive managers, inclusion in team activities. This need is particularly important in many collectivist cultures such as Japan, China, and Korea. Number 4, self-esteem needs, or recognition. People want respect and sense of accomplishment. Examples are recognition, promotions, status, achievement, respect from others. As a workplace example, employees may be motivated by employee rewards, leadership opportunities, positive performance reviews. In individualistic cultures like the United States, esteem needs are often a strong motivator. Number 5, self-actualization, or personal fulfillment. This is the highest level of Maslow's hierarchy. It refers to becoming the best version of yourself. Examples include personal growth, creativity, meaningful work, achieving full potential. A workplace example would be an employee may seek challenging projects, innovation opportunities, leadership roles, and work that aligns with personal values. As a cross-cultural perspective, Maslow developed this theory based largely on Western perspectives, so some aspects may vary across cultures. Individualistic cultures, such as the United States, the employees may prioritize self-esteem, self-actualization, personal achievement. In collectivist cultures such as Japan and China, employees may place greater emphasis on social belonging, group harmony, family and community obligations. As a business example, imagine 3 employees. Employee A. Concerned about paying bills. The main need is physiological. Employee B wants long-term job stability. The main need is security. Employee C wants to become a senior leader and make a major impact. So the main need is self-actualization. A manager should motivate each employee differently because they are focused on different levels of need. This focuses on David McClelland's learned needs theory and its application in international management. McClelland believed that people's motivations are largely learned through life experiences, education, family, and culture rather than being innate. So McClelland's 3 learned needs are: 1, need for achievement. People want to accomplish challenging goals, excel, solve problems, receive feedback on performance. An example here would be an entrepreneur starting a business or a salesperson striving to exceed targets. Number 2, need for affiliation. People want positive relationships, acceptance by others, team harmony, and social connections. As an example, an employee who enjoys collaborating and building strong workplace relationships. Number 3, need for power. People want influence, authority, leadership opportunities, ability to affect outcomes. As an example, a manager who enjoys leading teams and making strategic decisions. So what the slide means: the relevant findings for international managers. So managers working across countries should recognize that employees are not motivated by the same factors. Some employees may be driven by achievement, relationships, and influence. Understanding these differences helps managers design better rewards and leadership approaches. The need for achievement exists in many different countries. One important finding is that the desire to achieve success is not limited to one culture. High achievement individuals can be found in the United States, China, Japan, Germany, India, and Brazil. People everywhere can be motivated by challenging goals and accomplishments. McClelland's needs are not likely to be constant across cultures. This is the key point of the slide. While all 3 needs exist worldwide, cultures often emphasize them differently. In the United States, there's often emphasis for achievement, individual success, personal accomplishments, and employees may be motivated by promotions, performance bonuses, and recognition. In Japan, there's often emphasis on affiliation, group harmony, team success, and employees may be motivated by strong team relationships, group recognition, and long-term employment. For China, there's more emphasis on affiliation, such as relationships and gongxi, achievement, and respect for authority. In Netherlands, there's often value in cooperation, equality, work-life balance, and so employees may be less motivated by aggressive competition than employees in highly achievement-oriented cultures. International business example. So imagine a global project team at Micron. The U.S. team member is motivated by leading the project, the recognition, and the career advancement, while the Japanese team member may be motivated by team success, strong working relationships, and group recognition. In the Netherlands, the team member may be motivated by collaboration, autonomy, and balanced workload. If a manager rewards everyone the same way, motivation may not be maximized. So this covers Frederick Hertzberg's 2-factor theory, which explains that the factors causing job satisfaction are different from those causing job dissatisfaction. Hertzberg's main idea is that Hertzberg had argued Satisfaction and dissatisfaction are not opposites. Instead, they are influenced by two different sets of factors. Think of it this way. Simply removing dissatisfaction does not automatically create motivation. Number one, hygiene factors or housekeeping factors. These factors prevent dissatisfaction but do not strongly motivate employees. Examples include salary, benefits, company policies, working conditions, job security, and relationship with supervisors. As an example, if employees are paid unfairly, dissatisfaction increases. If employees are paid fairly, they may not be dissatisfied, but they are not necessarily motivated. Number two, motivators. These factors create true job satisfaction and motivation. Examples are achievement, recognition, responsibility, advancement, personal growth, and meaningful work. As an example, an employee receives challenging projects, recognition from management, opportunities for advancement. The result is higher satisfaction and motivation. A practical example would be, imagine two tax professionals. Employee A has a good salary, nice office, excellent benefits, but repetitive work, no recognition, no growth opportunities. And so the result is they're not satisfied, but not highly motivated. Employee B has a fair salary, challenging assignments, leadership opportunities, recognition from management. The result here would be highly satisfied and motivated. Here are some cross-cultural considerations. In the slide notes, the fails to yield consistent results. What this means is that Hertzberg's theory does not always work the same way across cultures. Now, why is that? It's because different cultures value different things. United States employees value achievement, recognition, promotions, and Hertzberg's motivators often work well. In Japan, employees may place greater importance on group harmony, team relationships, job security, some hygiene factors that may be more important than Hertzberg originally suggested. For the Netherlands, employees may value work-life balance, equality, flexible work arrangements. These factors may contribute directly to satisfaction, not just reduce satisfaction. So here's some criticisms of Hertzberg's theory. Researchers have found results are not always consistent across countries. What motivates one person may not motivate another. And some factors can act as both hygiene factors and motivators. So as an example, a salary may simply prevent dissatisfaction for some employees. For others, a large bonus may be highly motivating. This introduces expectancy theory, one of the most important process-based motivation theories. Unlike need-based theories that Maslow, McClelland, and Hertzberg had provided, expectancy theory focuses on how people make decisions about effort and behavior. So what is expectancy theory? This is developed by Victor Vroom. The theory suggests that people choose behaviors based on outcomes they expect to receive. Employees ask themselves, is it worth putting in the effort? Motivation depends on the answers. Number one, process view of motivation. The slide says process view of motivation, in which this means motivation is viewed as a decision-making process, not just a need. Employees mentally evaluate step one, the effort, which leads to performance. So the question is, if I work hard, can I perform well? Step two, performance, which leads to reward. If I perform well, will I actually get rewarded? Step three, reward, leading to value. Do I care about the reward? If all three answers are yes, motivation is high. As an example, imagine an employee is offered a bonus. This leads to high motivation. The employee believes, if I work harder, I'll hit the target. If I hit the target, management will pay the bonus. The bonus is valuable to me, and so the result is high motivation. With low motivation, the employee believes the target is impossible, or management won't reward performance fairly, or I don't care about the reward. And so the result would be low motivation. Number 2, behavior choice. The slide mentions behavioral choice. Expectancy theory assumes people make rational choices between alternatives. Employees constantly choose work harder or not, stay with a company or leave, take on extra responsibilities or avoid them, collaborate or work independently. They tend to choose the option they believe will produce the most desirable outcome. As an example, an employee may choose between option A, work extra hours and receive a promotion. Option B, maintain current workload and preserve work-life balance. Different people will choose differently depending on what they value most. Number 3, cultural dimension of social orientation. This is where culture becomes important. Different cultures value different rewards. Individualistic cultures. Examples are United States, Canada, and Australia. Employees may value individual bonuses, promotions, personal recognition. Expectancy theory works well when rewards are linked to individual performance. Collectivist cultures. Examples are China, Japan, South Korea. Employees may value team success, group harmony, collective rewards. A reward system based entirely on individual competition may be less motivating. International business example. So suppose a company like Splashtop offers a U.S. sales team. The top performer receives a large individual bonus. This may strongly motivate employees. For the Japanese sales team, the top performer receives the same individual bonus. Some employees may feel uncomfortable standing out from the group. A team-based reward may be more effective. So here's the formula behind expectancy theory. Motivation is often summarized as motivation equals expectancy times instrumentality times valence. This is where expectancy is, can I succeed? Instrumentality means, will success be rewarded? Valence means, do I value the reward? If any one factor is 0, motivation falls dramatically. This explains the reinforcement model of motivation, which is based on a simple principle. People tend to repeat behaviors that lead to positive outcomes and avoid behaviors that lead to negative outcomes. Unlike Maslow or expectancy theory, the reinforcement model focuses less on what people think and more on how consequences shape behavior. Behavioral choice. Employees make choices based on the consequences they experience. Positive outcome, reinforcement. When a behavior produces a positive result, the behavior is likely to be repeated. Examples are, employee receives a bonus for exceeding sales goals. The manager praises an employee for excellent work. The team receives recognition for completing a project early. The result, the employee is more likely to repeat that behavior. Negative outcome or punishment. When a behavior produces a negative consequence, the behavior is less likely to occur again. Examples are formal warning for violating company policy, loss of bonus due to poor performance, corrective coaching for repeated errors. The result, employee reduces or stops that behavior. The cross-cultural perspective is the basic principle works across cultures. Rewards encourage behavior. Punishment discourages behavior. However, what people consider a reward or punishment may vary by culture. Individualistic cultures. The examples here are United States, Canada, and often they respond well to individual bonuses, personal recognition, and Employee of the Month awards. Collectivist cultures. Examples are Japan and China. They may respond better to team recognition, group rewards, public praise directed at the team, individual public recognition. May sometimes create discomfort here. International business example. So suppose a global company wants to improve project completion rates. For the US team, the reward is an individual performance bonus. Likely effective because personal achievement is highly valued. For the Japanese team, the reward is team celebration, department recognition. It may be more effective because group success is emphasized. So this introduces the concept of leadership in an international business environment and emphasizes that leadership is about influencing people without forcing them. Leadership equals non-coercive influence. So what is non-coercive influence? For this, it means influencing people to work towards common goals because they want to, not because they are forced to. A leader inspires, guides, and motivates. A manager may have formal authority, but a leader earns commitment and trust. As an example, a leader says, "Here's our vision and why it matters," rather than, "Do it because I said so." Number 1, shape the goals. One important role of leaders is to define and communicate goals. Leaders answer, "Where are we going? What are we trying to achieve? And why is it important?" As an example, at a technology company, leadership may set a goal: become the leading secure remote access platform for small and medium businesses. This creates direction and alignment. Number 2, motivate behavior. Leaders influence how people behave and perform. They motivate employees by creating a vision, providing encouragement, recognizing achievements, building trust, and helping employees succeed. As an example, 2 managers give the same assignment. Manager A gives instructions only. Leader B explains the purpose, provides support, encourages the team, so Leader B typically generates higher engagement. Number 3, determine the culture. Leaders have a major impact on organizational culture. Culture includes values, norms, behaviors, communication styles. Employees often model what leaders do. As an example, if leaders constantly demonstrate integrity, respect, and collaboration, those behaviors tend to spread throughout the organization. However, if leaders tolerate unethical behavior, that can also become part of the culture. From an international business perspective, leadership becomes more challenging across cultures because employees may have different expectations of leaders. In high-power distance cultures like China, India, and Malaysia, employees often expect leaders to give clear direction, make decisions, and act as authority figures. For the low-power distance cultures, such as Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden, employees often expect leaders to seek input, encourage participation, and share decision-making. An example for global teams: imagine a leader managing teams in the United States, Taiwan, Japan, Netherlands. The leader may need to adapt in the US to empower employees and encourage initiative. For Japan, build consensus, emphasize team harmony, And then for Netherlands, encourage open discussion, involve employees in decisions. The goals remain the same, but leadership style may need adjustment. So this explains contemporary leadership theory, which argues that there is no single best leadership style. Effective leaders adapt their behavior based on the situation, the people they lead, and the cultural environment. Main idea: leadership depends on the situation. So modern leadership theories are often called contingency or situational theories because they suggest the best leadership style depends on the circumstances. A leadership approach that works well in one team or country may not work in another. Number 1, individual differences among subordinates. Different employees have different skills, experience, motivation, personalities, and cultural backgrounds. As an example, a new employee may need detailed instructions, frequent guidance. An experienced employee may prefer independence and delegated authority. The leadership implication: good leaders adjust their level of direction and support based on the individual employee. Number 2, characteristics of the group, organization, and leader. Leadership effectiveness is influenced by the group. This regards the team size, experience level, and trust among members. The organization, company culture, industry, and structure. The leader, personality and experience, as well as communication style. As an example, a startup may benefit from flexible leadership, fast decision making. A large regulated bank may require more structure and more formal controls. Number 3, subordinates in desire to participate. Employees differ in how much involvement they want in decisions. The high desire to participate is where employees may want input into decisions, collaboration, autonomy. This is common in the United States, Netherlands, and Scandinavia. The lower desire to participate. In this case, the employees may prefer clear direction, strong leadership, defined responsibilities. And this is more common in high power distance cultures. So as an example, a leader asks, "How would you like to approach this project?" Some employees appreciate being consulted. Others may think, "Well, you're the manager. Please tell us what to do." So leadership behavior and Hofstede's cultural factors. The slide connects leadership to Hofstede's cultural dimensions. Different cultures often expect different leadership styles. Power distance. In this case, high power distance. Examples are China, India, and Malaysia. Employees often expect strong authority, top-down decisions, and respect for hierarchy. A lower power distance. Examples are Netherlands and Denmark. The employees here often expect participation, open discussion, and collaborative leadership. Individualism versus collectivism. Individualistic cultures. Employees may value personal responsibility, individual recognition. In a collectivist culture, employees may value team harmony and group decision making. Uncertainty avoidance. Under high uncertainty avoidance, employees prefer clear rules, structure, and detailed plans. In low uncertainty avoidance, employees may be more comfortable with flexibility, experimentation, and ambiguity. The international business example is where, let's say, a leader is managing teams in the United States, Japan, Taiwan, Netherlands. The same leadership style may not work everywhere. In the United States, there is encouragement for initiative, as well as seeking employee input. In Japan, there's a desire to build consensus and emphasize team cooperation. While in the Netherlands, there's use of participative leadership and encouraging open debate. While in Taiwan, there's a balance of hierarchy with collaboration. This provides a real-world example of how leadership expectations differ across cultures. The statement being measured is, it is important for a manager to have at hand precise answers to most of the questions that subordinates may raise about their work. So what does this mean? The survey measures what employees expect from managers. High agreement, such as in Japan and Italy. Employees tend to believe managers should be the experts. Managers should provide answers and direction. Leaders are expected to follow what to do. Low agreement, such as Sweden and the United States. Employees tend to believe managers do not have all the answers. Problem solving can be collaborative, and employees should contribute ideas and solutions. Here's the country-by-country interpretation. For Sweden, it's 10%. Very low agreement. Employees often expect participative leadership, flat organizational structures. There's shared decision-making. The manager's role is more of a facilitator rather than an authority figure. In the United States, it's 18%. Relatively low agreement. Employees often value empowerment, initiative, independent thinking, and so the manager's role is more of a coaching guide rather than the sole source of answers. For Great Britain, it's 27%. Moderately low agreement. Managers are expected to provide leadership, but employees are generally comfortable contributing ideas and questioning assumptions. For Germany, it's 46%. There's middle ground. Employees often expect technical competence, expertise, structure. Managers are expected to know their subject matter well. For Italy, it's 66%, so high agreement. Employees are more likely to expect clear direction, strong leadership, and managerial expertise. In Japan, it's 78%, so very high agreement. Traditionally, managers are expected to be highly knowledgeable, provide guidance, help solve work-related problems. Managers often serve as mentors and senior advisors. So here's the connection to Hofstede's cultural dimensions. This chart reflects several of Hofstede's dimensions. Power distance. Higher power distance cultures often expect managers to have answers, make decisions, provide direction. Lower power distance cultures often expect managers to involve employees, share responsibility, and encourage participation. The uncertainty avoidance. Countries with higher uncertainty avoidance often prefer clear guidance, predictability, expert leadership, and so this helps explain why Japan and Italy score relatively high. The leadership lesson is that employees in different cultures have different expectations about what a manager should do. A leadership style that often works in Sweden may not work as effectively in Japan. So in Sweden, a manager who says, "What do you think we should do?" And this may be viewed positively. In Japan, employees may expect, "Please provide guidance and direction." So this is how an international business application would apply for a global company such as Splashtop. For Splashtop, U.S. teams may appreciate autonomy and participation. Japanese teams may expect more guidance and expertise. European teams may fall somewhere in between depending on the country. And so the successful international leaders adapt their style to local expectations while still maintaining consistent organizational values. This summarizes findings from the GLOBE project. GLOBE stands for Global Leadership and Organizational Behavior Effectiveness. This is one of the largest international leadership studies ever conducted. The project examined leadership perceptions across dozens of countries and identified 6 major leadership dimensions. The key question was, what leadership characteristics are universally admired and which vary across cultures? Number 1, charismatic or value-based leadership. The definition of this are Leaders that inspire people through vision, integrity, confidence, high ethical standards, and passion. The characteristics include inspirational, trustworthy, performance oriented, and values driven. As an example, a CEO who communicates a compelling vision and motivates employees to work toward a common purpose. The global finding is that this was one of the most universally admired leadership styles across cultures. People generally appreciate leaders who have integrity, inspire others, and demonstrate competence. Number 2, team-oriented leadership. The definition of this would be leaders who emphasize teamwork, collaboration, collective success, and the characteristics of this would be building strong teams, encouraging cooperation, and creating unity. An example would be a manager who focuses on helping departments work together rather than competing against each other. The global finding here is that this is also viewed positively in many cultures. Number 3, participative leadership. The definition here would be leaders who involve employees in decision making. The characteristics are seeking input, encouraging discussion, and sharing authority. An example would be a manager who asks, "What do you think is the best solution?" before making a decision. In terms of cultural differences, this is more valued in the United States, Netherlands, and Scandinavia, less emphasized though in many high-power distance cultures. Number 4, humane-oriented leadership. The definition of this would be leaders who demonstrate compassion, generosity, supportiveness, and the characteristics are caring, emphatic, and considerate. So, as an example, a manager who supports employees during personal or family difficulties. Cultural differences are particularly valued in cultures emphasizing relationships and community. Number 5, autonomous leadership. And the definition of this would be leaders who act independently and make decisions confidently. Characteristics are self-directed, independent, and decisive. As an example, an entrepreneur who takes initiative without waiting for approval. So this is actually more respected in some cultures than others. Number 6, self-protective leadership. The definition of this would be leaders who focus on maintaining status, saving face, protecting themselves and the organization. The characteristics are status conscious, concerned with reputation, and risk adverse. So a leader who carefully manages public image and avoids actions that could damage credibility. And so this is more accepted in some hierarchical cultures. So which leadership styles are most universally effective? The Globe Project found that the most widely admired leaders tend to be highly rated worldwide. They tend to be charismatic or value-based leadership and team-oriented leadership. This is often associated with integrity, vision, trust, and collaboration. It's more culture specific, so participative leadership, humane-oriented leadership, autonomous leadership, and self-protective leadership. Their effectiveness depends on cultural expectations. So, how do we apply Globe to international business? So, again, using a global company like Splashtop, the universally effective method is for clear vision, ethical leadership, building trust, and strong teamwork. The need of cultural adaptation would be how much employee participation is expected, how independently leaders should act, how authority is exercised. This compares two different views of how decisions are made in organizations. The normative model is how managers should make decisions. The descriptive model is how managers actually make decisions. The key reason is that Real-world decision-making is often less rational and more constrained than theory suggests. Number 1, the normative model, or the ideal decision-making. The normative model describes the ideal decision-making process. Managers here should, step 1, recognize a problem. This is where they identify that something needs attention. As an example, sales growth has slowed in Europe. Step 2, identify alternative solutions. This means generating multiple possible options. Examples include increasing marketing, reducing prices, launch new products, and expand partnerships. Step 3, evaluate each alternative rationally. This means analyzing costs, benefits, risks, and outcomes. As an example, comparing expected revenue, profitability, and implementation costs for each option. Step 4, select the best alternative. Choose the option that maximizes organizational goals. Step 5, implement the decision. Put the chosen solution into action. Step 6, follow up and evaluate, which means monitoring results and adjusting if necessary. Expected outcome. If managers follow this process perfectly, they should arrive at the decision that best serves the organization's needs. Number 2, the descriptive model, or the reality. The descriptive model explains how managers actually make decisions. Managers actually use incomplete information. Managers rarely have perfect data. As an example, market uncertainty, changing customer behavior, competitive actions, and then time pressure. They're also constrained by imperfect information. Managers here face limited time, limited resources, and limited knowledge, as well as organizational politics, and so this concept is often called bounded rationality. Frankly, people want to be rational but cannot process everything perfectly. There's also the tendency to what's called satisfice. This term is introduced by Herbert Simon. Instead of finding the absolute best solution, managers often choose the best option that is good enough. As an example, rather than evaluating 20 software vendors, a manager may choose the first one that meets the most requirements. The outcome for the final decision is that this may or may not be the best decision. It may not fully maximize organizational interests, but it is often practical and timely. As an example, a tax director decision. Imagine you're deciding how to handle a new international tax regulation. The normative model. You would gather all global tax data. You would evaluate every possible compliance strategy. You would quantify every risk and outcome, select a mathematically optimal solution, and so this could take months. Under the descriptive model, in reality, filing deadlines exist. Guidance may be incomplete. Advisors may disagree. Business needs immediate answers. So you gather the best information available and choose a reasonable solution. And so this is how most business decisions are actually made. From the international business perspective, decision making becomes even more challenging internationally because different cultures handle decisions differently. For the United States, there's often faster decisions, greater risk tolerance, and action-oriented. In Japan, there's often a consensus-based decision, so there's extensive consultation. More information gathering is done before there's action taken. In Germany, there's often detailed analysis, structured evaluation, strong emphasis on precision. Thus, even the decision-making process itself can be varied by culture. This shows that even when managers follow the normative decision-making model, the ideal 6-step process, culture influences each step. In other words, people from different cultures may follow the same decision-making process, but they often approach each step differently. The 6 steps and their cultural implications. So number 1, problem recognition that leads to social orientation. People may identify problems when personal performance suffers, individual goals are not met. In collectivist cultures like Japan and China, people may identify problems when team harmony is disrupted. Group objectives are threatened. So as an example, a US manager may say, salesperson A is missing quota, and a Japanese manager may say, the team's overall performance is declining. Same issue, but different perspective. Number 2, identifying alternatives that leads to power orientation. Examples include Sweden and the Netherlands. Employees at all levels may contribute ideas. Under the high power distance, examples would be China and India. Alternative solutions often come primarily from managers and senior leaders. As an example, in the Netherlands, it may be common to think, let's brainstorm together. In a high power distance culture, the thought process is management will determine the options. Number 3, evaluating alternatives, and this leads to goal orientation. As an example, in the United States and Japan, the questions may be, which option maximizes results? And which option improves in performance? In the quality of life oriented cultures, examples like Sweden and Netherlands, the questions would be, which option supports employees? And which option promotes work-life balance? So as an example, a restructuring proposal may be judged differently depending on whether efficiency or employee well-being is the primary goal. Number 4, selecting the best alternative. And this leads to social orientation. Culture influences how decisions are ultimately chosen. For individualistic cultures, the decision criteria includes personal accountability and individual performance. In collectivist cultures, the decision criteria includes consensus and group acceptance. As an example, in the United States, the manager selects the best option quickly. In Japan, consensus may be built before a final decision is made. Number 5, implementation, which leads to power orientation. Culture affects how decisions are executed. Under the high power distance, implementation often occurs through formal instructions, clear hierarchy, and top-down communication. Under the low power distance, implementation often involves employee involvement, shared responsibility, and collaborative execution. Number 6, follow-up and evaluation, power orientation. Who evaluates performance? High power distance, managers evaluate employees. Feedback is often top-down. Under the lower power distance, feedback may be two-way, collaborative, and peer-based. As an example, in Sweden, employees may openly discuss a manager's decisions. In high-power distance cultures, such behavior may be uncommon. So for an international business example, imagine if Micron Technologies is deciding whether to expand into a new market. Under the US team, multiple employees propose ideas. There's fast evaluation. The manager makes a final decision. For the team in Japan, there's extensive consultation, consensus building, more time spent gaining alignment before implementation, and then both teams follow the 6-step process, but it applies it differently because of cultural influences. This discusses the descriptive model of decision-making across cultures, which focuses on how managers actually make decisions rather than how they ideally should make decisions. The main message is, we know culture affects decision-making, but it is difficult to predict exactly how because real-world decisions are messy, complex, and influenced by many factors. Number 1, few research studies. The slide notes that there are relatively few cross-cultural studies on the descriptive model. Why is that? The descriptive model examines real-world behavior, human judgment, cognitive biases, organizational politics, and time pressure. These factors are difficult to observe and measure consistently across countries. As a result, researchers have less evidence about how managers in different cultures actually make decisions, whether cultural differences consistently affect decision-making behavior. Number 2, hard to predict influence. This is the most important point. In theory, culture should influence risk tolerance, information gathering, decision speed, consensus building, and acceptance of uncertainty. In reality, many other factors also influence decisions. These include personality, experience, industry, organizational culture, time constraints, technology, legal requirements, and so therefore culture is only one influence among many. As an example, two managers from Japan may make very different decisions because one worked internationally for 20 years while one works in a traditional domestic company. Individual differences may outweigh national culture. Number 3, potential limitations. The descriptive model has several limitations when applied across cultures. A, bounded rationality exists everywhere. So managers in all countries face incomplete information, limited time, limited resources. This makes behavior harder to predict. B, cultures are not uniform. Not everyone within a country behaves the same way. For example, within the United States, Silicon Valley startup founders, government administrators, manufacturing executives may all make decisions very differently despite sharing the same national culture. C, globalization. Today, many managers work internationally, study abroad, collaborate across cultures. So, as a result, decision-making styles may become more similar across countries than older theories predict. International business example. So, imagine a company deciding whether to enter a new market. Under the normative model, the suggestion is that managers should gather all information, analyze every option, and select the optimal choice. In the descriptive model, it often is about showing what often happens. Data is incomplete. Deadlines are approaching. Executives disagree. Political considerations exist. Managers frequently make a decision that is good enough rather than perfect. This occurs in every culture, although the process may vary. So here's the connection to earlier concepts. The descriptive model is closely related to bounded rationality. Managers cannot process unlimited information. Satisficing. This is where managers often choose the first acceptable solution rather than the absolute best solution. Cultural influences. Culture may affect how much information is gathered, how much consensus is required, how much risk is accepted, but these effects are not always easy to predict. This introduces group dynamics and explains what distinguishes a team from a single group, especially in an international business environment. Number 1, group versus team. Many people use these terms interchangeably, but they are different. Group. This is a collection of individuals who interact but may have separate goals. As an example, employees from tax, accounting, HR, and IT attend the same company meeting. The characteristics are they share information, there's individual accountability, and there's limited interdependence. As a team, they form a group of people working together towards a common objective. As an example, a cross-functional project team implementing a new ERP system. The characteristics are shared goals, shared accountability, high collaboration, and interdependent work. Number 2, Mature team. The slide describes the characteristics of a mature team. A mature team is one that has developed over time and functions effectively. A well-defined role structure. Each team member understands their responsibilities, their authority, how they contribute. As an example, on a global tax project, a tax director would report to overall leadership. A tax manager will report to compliance coordination. FP&A will lead to forecast support. Accounting will lead to provision entries. Everyone knows their role. B. Establish norms for members. Norms are the unwritten rules that guide behavior. So examples, this could mean meeting etiquette, communication expectations, response times, and decision-making procedures. So as an example, a team norm may be all project updates must be shared before Friday afternoon. These norms reduce confusion and improve coordination. C. Team members are cohesive. Cohesion means team members trust and support each other. The characteristics are strong relationships, cooperation, commitment to team goals. The benefits are high cohesion often leads to better communication, higher morale, and greater collaboration. As an example, when deadlines become stressful, cohesive teams help one another rather than assigning blame. D. Informal leaders direct the team. Not all leaders have formal titles. Formal leader. This person has official authority. An example would be a manager, a director, a team lead. An informal leader is one that influences others through expertise, experience, trust, respect. So an example here would be on a project team, the most experienced technical expert may be the person everyone consults, even if they are not the manager. From an international business perspective, team dynamics becomes more complex when team members come from different cultures. Some cultures prefer clearly defined roles, formal responsibilities. This includes Japan and Germany. Other cultures may be more flexible. The team norms, communication expectations also vary. For the United States, it's direct communication. For Japan, it's more indirect communication. Successful international teams establish common norms. For cohesion, building trust may require different approaches. Some cultures build trust through personal relationships. Others are through demonstrated competence and performance. Informal leadership. Who becomes an informal leader can vary by culture. Expertise may create influence in some cultures. Seniority may create influence in others. So as an example, a global team in Micron. So imagine a project team that members are formed from the United States, Japan, Taiwan, Netherlands. A mature team would have clearly defined responsibilities, agreed communication norms, strong trust among members, informal leaders who provide the guidance, regardless of title. This allows the team to overcome cultural differences and work effectively together. This compares heterogeneous teams or diverse teams and homogeneous teams or similar teams and highlights the trade-offs managers face when leading cross-cultural teams. What is a heterogeneous team? A team whose members differ in nationality, culture, language, age, education, experience, and functional background. What is a homogeneous team? This is a team that the members share similar backgrounds. Here are the dynamics between the heterogeneous and homogeneous teams. Number 1, conflicts. Why? People from different cultures often have different communication styles, work habits, expectations, decision-making preferences. As an example, an American employee may communicate directly. A Japanese employee may communicate more indirectly. Misunderstandings can create conflict. The key point is that conflict is not always bad. Healthy conflict often leads to better ideas, better decisions, and more innovation. Number 2, communication. Why? Challenges include language differences, different communication styles, different interpretations. As an example, the phrase, "let's discuss this later," in one culture means, "we'll revisit it." In another, it may mean, "I disagree." Communication becomes more difficult. Number 3, creativity. Diverse teams bring different experiences, different viewpoints, and different problem-solving approaches. A product team with members from Asia, Europe, and North America may identify opportunities that a single country team would miss. So the benefit is that research consistently finds that diverse teams are often more innovative. Number 4, norms. Well, norms tend to basically mean unwritten rules. So, as an example, meeting etiquette, email response expectations, decision-making process. People bring different cultural assumptions. So one culture may expect speaking up immediately. Another may expect wait until invited to speak. Team norms take longer to develop. Number 5, cohesiveness. Cohesiveness equals team unity. Homogeneous teams often build trust faster, share similar values, feel comfortable quickly. Diverse teams may initially struggle with trust, relationship building, shared identity. Once diverse teams become cohesive, they can outperform homogeneous teams. Number 6, informal leadership. Informal leaders are where people who influence others without formal authority. Why ambiguity occurs. Different cultures may value different leadership qualities. Here are some examples. Some cultures respect seniority. Others respect expertise. Others respect charisma. Therefore, it may be unclear who naturally becomes the informal leader. So this highlights 4 major cultural dimensions that managers must understand when leading cross-cultural teams. These dimensions influence how team members communicate, make decisions, handle authority, manage uncertainty, and define success. The slide is essentially saying, to effectively manage an international team, leaders must understand how cultural differences affect team behavior. Number 1, social orientation. Definition: how people view themselves relative to the group. Often described as individualism, which is I, or collectivism, which is equivalent to we. Individualistic cultures. Examples again, United States, Canada, Australia. Employees tend to value independence, speak up individually, focus on personal achievement. In the team and management approach, managers should give individual responsibility, recognize personal accomplishments, and encourage initiative. Collectivist cultures are examples like Japan, China, and Korea, and so employees tend to prioritize group harmony, seek consensus, focus on team success. Team management approach here would be the manager should build group cohesion, encourage collaboration, and avoid embarrassing individuals publicly. Number 2, power orientation. The definition here is how comfortable people are with unequal distributions of power. This is often called the power distance. High power distance. Examples are China, India, and Mexico. Employees often expect clear hierarchy, strong leadership, decisions from managers. As an example, employees may hesitate to openly challenge their manager. Low power distance. Examples are Sweden, Netherlands, and United States. Employees often expect participation, open communication, shared decision making. Example would be employees that feel comfortable disagreeing with management. Management implication. A participative leadership style may work well in Sweden, but may be less effective in cultures that expect strong authority. Number 3, uncertainty orientation. The definition here is how comfortable people are with ambiguity, risk, and change. This is often called the uncertainty avoidance. High uncertainty avoidance. Examples are Japan, Germany, and employees prefer detailed plans, formal procedures, predictability. An example would be team members that may want extensive analysis before making decisions. Low uncertainty avoidance. Examples are United States and Singapore. Employees are more comfortable with experimentation, innovation, flexible processes. In this case, an example would be teams that move quickly despite incomplete information. The management implication is that global teams may disagree about how much planning is necessary before taking action. And number 4, goal orientation. The definition here is what people consider most important when evaluating success. The achievement-oriented cultures include United States and Japan, and it focuses on performance, competition, results, and advancement. So here an example would be success is often measured by revenue, promotions, and market share. Relationship, quality of life oriented cultures. The examples here will be Sweden and Netherlands, and it focuses on work-life balance, employee well-being, and cooperation. As an example, success may include team satisfaction, sustainable workloads, and long-term relationships. Okay, we're at the review questions for this chapter. Number 1, define personality and explain how personality differences affect individual behavior personality. The unique combination of characteristics that influence how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. The big 5 personality traits are agreeableness, conscientiousness, emotional stability, extroversion, and openness. The impact on behavior would be different personalities influence leadership style, communication, decision-making, teamwork, and conflict management. As an example, a highly extroverted manager may enjoy networking, speak frequently in meetings. An introverted manager may listen carefully and prefer thoughtful analysis. Number 2, explain how attitudes vary across cultures. Attitude is a learned tendency to respond positively or negatively towards something. The key job-related attitudes are job satisfaction, or how employees like their jobs, organizational commitment, how loyal employees feel towards the organization. Cultural differences. Employees may value different things. In the United States, they often value individual achievement and career advancement. In Japan, there's often value in long-term relationships and loyalty to the company. The result is that attitudes toward work can vary significantly towards cultures. Number 3, discuss the basic perceptual process and how it differs across cultures. The perception is that the process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting information is the right definition for perception. People do not simply see reality. They interpret reality through experiences, values, and culture. The cultural influence. Different cultures may interpret the same situation differently. As an example, a manager's silence during a meeting could, in the United States, be interpreted as lack of interest, while the Japanese interpretation would be thoughtful consideration. Stereotyping. One major challenge in international business is stereotyping. People may make assumptions based on nationality, ethnicity, and cultural background. Number 4, explain how attitudes and perceptions affect each other. Attitudes and perceptions are closely linked. Attitudes influence perception. So if you already have a positive attitude towards someone, you may interpret their actions positively. As an example, a trusted coworker arrives late. You may think they must have had a good reason. Perception influences attitudes. How you interpret events affects how you feel about people and situations. As an example, if you perceive management as unfair, your attitude towards the company becomes more negative. Relationship. Attitudes and perceptions, each continuously influences the other. So number 5, discuss stress and how it varies across cultures. Stress. The body's response to demands, pressures, or challenges. Positive stress, or what's called eustress, can motivate people. As an example, promotion, new opportunities, and challenging projects. Negative stress, or distress, can harm performance and health. Examples are excessive workload, role conflict, and job insecurity. The cultural differences in stress. Different cultures perceive stress differently. In high uncertainty avoidance cultures like Japan and Germany, they may experience far greater stress from ambiguity and rapid change. In low uncertainty avoidance cultures like United States and Singapore, they may be more comfortable with risk, change, and uncertainty. For international assignments, employees working abroad often face additional stress from language barriers, cultural adjustment, family relocation, different business practices. This is called cross-cultural adjustment stress. This is the second page of the review questions. Number 1, identify some of the basic issues managers must confront when attempting to motivate employees in different cultures. The main idea here is that people are motivated by different things depending on their culture. Challenges for managers. Here are the different needs that are challenging to managers. Employees may value money, security, and status, as well as work-life balance, team belonging differently. In different values, examples are the United States may see achievement and individual awards as valuable, while in Japan, group success and harmony are shown as huge values. Different expectations of leadership. Some cultures prefer participative leadership. Others prefer directive leadership. Number 2, how do needs and values differ in different cultures? Needs. Needs are things people desire or require. Examples are primary needs, like food, safety, and security. These are generally universal. Secondary needs, such as achievement, recognition, power, and affiliation. These often vary by culture. Values are learned beliefs about what is important. So, examples are achievement-oriented cultures that value competition, success, performance. And these examples are in US and Japan. Relationship-oriented cultures. They value harmony, cooperation, quality of life. Examples are Sweden and Netherlands. Number 3, summarize the steps in the normative model of decision making and relate each to international business. So step 1, recognize the problem. Different cultures may define problems differently. Step 2, identify alternatives. Power distance affects who is allowed to suggest ideas. Step 3, evaluate alternatives. Cultures differ in risk tolerance, goal orientation, and decision criteria. Step 4, select the best alternative. Some cultures favor consensus, others favor individual decision making. Step 5, implement. Hierarchy influences how decisions are executed. And step 6, follow up and evaluate. Feedback and accountability vary across cultures. Number 4, why are teams so important? What are the basic implications of teams for an international business? So why do teams matter? Modern organizations rely on teams because problems are complex. knowledge is specialized. Collaboration improves results. The benefits of teams: better decisions, multiple perceptives improve decision quality, more creativity, diverse viewpoints generate innovation, greater flexibility. Teams can respond quickly to changing conditions. International business implications. Benefits of cross-cultural teams: there's more creativity, broader market understanding, and better global solutions. But there are challenges of cross-cultural teams, and these are more conflict, communication difficulties, different expectations regarding leadership, slower consensus building. Successful international teams need clear roles, shared norms, strong communication, cultural awareness, and trust. And so now we finally come to the end of this lecture. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all have found this useful. Please be sure to reach out to me if you have any questions. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye for now.